Hello and welcome to Chapter 11, Section 3, which is going to be on measures of variation. It's going to start on textbook page 829 and go through textbook page 832. You are going to need the following items here. Notice the one thing that is different on this screen is going to be the lined paper. You're not used to seeing that. You definitely need some extra lined paper. You could perhaps even use the long line sticky notes. That would be fine as well, but they have to be the long ones. They look like this, except they're a little longer. You could use these if you have small handwriting, super small, but neat. Everything in this section needs to be very neat. Also, we're going to be working now on textbook page 829, so you want to take a look at that. It says to scan the lesson and predict two things you'll learn about the measures of variation. So the first thing is I will learn how to find the first and third quartile. You want to have first and third in red. You want to make sure that you are using your colors. This is an important section for you to use the colors. And you will also write here that I will learn how outliers affect a data set. So we're going to learn what outliers are. Those should be in red as well. Now for this first piece, it says measures of variation are used to describe the distribution or spread of the data. That word spread is really important because you need to make sure that you understand that that's another word for measures of variation, because as we go through the next two chapters, they're going to ask you about the spread of the data, and you need to understand that they're asking you about the different measures of variation. So now it says a quartile is one measure of variation. So now they want you to look in the dictionary for words that begin with quar. So the first word that we have here is quarter, and a quarter, just like you know with money, one of the four equal parts which anything is or may be divided into. So quarter has four equal parts, or a quarter is 1/4 basically of the whole. And then the next one is quarterly. And quarterly actually means that it's occurring, done, or paid, etc., at the end of every quarter of a year. So that means every 3 months it is going to be paid, and that's because you have 4 quarters in the year. 12 divided by 4 equals 3 months. So now it says, based on the definitions you found, fill in the blank below. Quartiles are values that divide a set of data into 4 equal parts. So that's what we should have there. For this next section, it says, James asked his classmates how many hours of TV they watch on a typical day. Divide the data into 4 equal parts and draw a circle around each part. So the first thing you wanted to do was count how many X's you have there. When you count them, you see that you have 16 X's. So then to divide those 16 X's into 4 equal parts, you have to find out how many are in each group. So you are going to have 4 in each group because 4 times 4 is 16. So now you can draw your little circles just like that so that you can show the grouping. And it says how many data values are in each group? Well, it's 4 because you have 4 groups of 4. Now you're going to be looking at textbook page 830. On textbook 830, you've got some vocabulary here. This is some important vocabulary. I know that some of these concepts are going to be completely new to you, so it's really important that you pay close attention in this section. Quartiles are the values that divide the data set into 4 equal parts. So that's what you need to remember. It divides your data set, so your numbers, when you have them all lined up, it divides them into 4 equal parts. The first and the third quartile. So what I've done here is in blue, I've shown you the way that these are broken up. So the median is something that you do know how to do from the last section. That's at the 50% mark. And basically, what the first quartile is that 25% mark. So this is going to be quartile 1 right here. And right up here will be quartile 3. So, and then the quartile 2 is never called quartile 2, it's called the median. So that's how you know where they're at. Then the main thing that you also need to understand is that 25% of the data is going to be down here. 25% of the data is here. 25% of the data is here, and 25% of the data is here. So that makes up your whole 100%. Also, the range, it talks about the difference between the greatest and least values. That's the number. So let's say this number was 25. Let's go ahead and put that here. Let's say this number down here was 25 and this number was 2. So the range would be 25 minus 2, which would give you 23. I'm going to go ahead and erase that now. I just wanted to kind of give you an example while we were here. The interquartile range is going to be the distance between the first and third quartile. So you want to pay attention to what I'm doing here with this aqua pen, because what I'm saying is the interquartile range is the distance between here and here. So that's going to be your IQR right there. I've written IQR there in black. You may or may not be able to see that, so you want to make sure that you get that on your paper. Now we're looking at a set of data here, and you can see that the measures of variation of a set of data are shown below. So they've got these numbers all lined up, and they've got the median. So the median should be pretty easy to find. The median of the data is found when you count the numbers, you get between 3 and 4. And then, so if we were actually looking to calculate the median of the data, we would have 3 plus 4, which would give us 7, and now we're going to divide that by 2 because it falls right in the middle of that 3 and 4 right here. So now 7 divided by 2 is going to give me 3.5. So the median of my data is actually 3.5, and then what you need to do is you have to find basically the median between this first one here and the median itself. So now you have to find the one in between. So now if you're looking at quartile 1, when you count from the outside to the inside, you have 1 and 2 in the middle. So just like we did here, notice I added 2 plus 1, I got 3, and then 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So that's where they got that 1.5 that you see right here. Then up here on the right hand side, since there are 8 on each side of the median, you want to count down from each side. So 4 and 8 are partners, 5 and 7, 6 and 7, and then now you have 6 and 7 in the middle again. And again, what you're going to do over here is you're going to have 6 plus 7 equals 13, divided by 2 gives you your 6.5. So now you can see each piece here where you see the different quartiles. That black box that I just put there, hold on, let's see, there we go. The black box that I'm about to put right here right now is the piece that you also need to understand. So right here between the first and the third quartile is going to be where 50% of the data is. So you want to make sure that you understand that that's where 50% of the data is, because remember 25% is in blue, 25% is in purple, and then you have your 50% there. So now I just wrote 50% over that. And now we're going to look here on number 1. So for example number 1, it says find the measure of variations. So the first measure of variation that you're going to see here, first thing that they did was lined up the data. I would like you to write that on the side of your paper. If you need extra paper, you can use it now. So they lined up all the data, and then since you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of data, that means that you have 2 numbers in the middle. So I've lightly circled that in pink. I'm going to make it a little darker. So let me make my marker a little darker here. So in pink, I'm going to show you right here, when you count from the outside, in, you get the 25 and 30 right in the middle. So when you add 25 plus 30, you get 55, which I've done right here. And then you're going to divide by 2 so that you can find the median, which is 27.5. So now you know the middle of your data is 27.5. And now you have 3 numbers on each side. So notice I've highlighted it in that light purple color. 1, 8, and 25 is on one side, and 30, 50, and 70 is on the right side. So to find the middle number, remember that yellow line right there is what separates the 2 sides. The middle number is easy in this one. It's 8 and 50 because 8 is in the middle of the purple and 50 is in the middle of the green. So now the range is going to be from your highest to your lowest. So 70, which is our highest, minus 1, which is our lowest, is 69. And then the interquartile range, remember, is the difference between quartile 1 and quartile 3. So 50 minus 8 is going to give us, hold on one second, 42. Sorry about that. So 50 minus 8 will give us the 42 that we need for our interquartile range. So now what I want you to do actually, go ahead and pause the video now. I want you to go ahead and try and work out A on your own. You do need to have lined paper for this so that you have enough room. So you should be doing example A, or the got it, on your lined paper. And then you also want to have a separate sheet of lined paper because you're going to take some notes, step-by-step directions after that. So you should have 2 pieces of lined paper right now. So you want to go ahead and work on A from here. Notice that I have already lined the data up for you. Don't forget to do that. That is your first step, to line them up from least to greatest. All right, so now you have your data here and it's lined up in the correct order. And the next thing that you're going to have to do is you are going to have to find the median. So on that second sheet of paper that I asked you to have out, you want to go ahead and write measures of variation. Step 1 is to line up the data from least to greatest. Count original and your numbers to double check. So what I'm saying is count the numbers you were given and count the numbers you wrote down just to make sure you got them all before you start finding any of the numbers or any of the calculations. Then step 2 says to find the median. So let's go ahead and do that. If you have questions, about how to find the median, you want to refer back to the last video, 11.2. That will tell you more detailed instructions on how to find the median. This video assumes that you know how to find the median. So first you're going to go ahead and look, okay, 56, 71, those are partners. 57, 67 are partners. 58, 64 are partners. 59, 62 are partners, 61, and 60. All right, so now we can see that we have 61 and 60 right here in the middle. So I'm just going to put a little green box around that for now. And remember, when you have two numbers in the middle and you're trying to find your median, off to the side now you want to add, or actually you can probably even just look at 60 and 61 and know that 60.5 is in between. If you can't just look at it and know it, then you want to add them together. So we'll do that right here. So now you can see that we're going to get our median of 60.5. So now that you have your median, you want to count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers that are to the left of the median, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers that are to the right of the median. So what that means is, starting from the 60, this one right here that I just put a purple arrow on top of, now we're going to count our way in, because basically we're finding the median of the bottom half now. So now 56 and 60 are partners, 57 and 59 are partners, and now 58 is going to be our first quartile. So right here in purple, I'm going to write my arrow, and that will be quartile 1, and it's 58. So now we're going to do the same thing on the right hand side here, starting with 61 and 71, those are partners, 62 and 67 are partners, so now we're looking at the number 64. So now I'm just going to draw a blue arrow here for 64, and I'm going to say that this is my quartile 3, because remember this is the middle of the top half, and again that number here is 64. Now we can go ahead and address the range. So remember, to find the range, you're going to go ahead and first you just want to write range, and then you're going to show me the numbers that you use to find the range. So we're going to take our highest number, which is 71, and we're going to subtract our lowest number, which is 56. And that will give us our range of 15. Now remember, that's the range from the bottom to the top of the data. And then the last piece, I'm just double checking here to make sure we get them all. So we have our quartiles, our range, and now we're going to look at our interquartile range. Whoops. So now let's go ahead and find that interquartile range. Now remember, to find the interquartile range, you're going to find the distance, or the difference rather, between the first quartile and the third quartile. So we're going to go ahead and list this as IQR, and then we're going to take our figure for our third quartile, which was 64, and we're going to subtract out our first quartile, which was 58. So now 64 minus 58, you have 2 to get to 60, plus another 4, so that's 6. So our interquartile range is 6. So we're going to go ahead and put a box around that. Our range is 15. We're going to put a box around that. Quartile 1, quartile 2. Sorry about that, I don't know which part you heard, and the median. All right, so now you're looking at the information that you have here. All of these answers are correct. You need to have boxes around them. And now you want to go ahead and look at the notes that I have here for measures of variation. So as we said, you need to line up the data from least to greatest in count, original, and your numbers to double check. Then you need to find the median. Number 3 says you need to find the median of the numbers to the left of the actual median. That's quartile 1. Find the median of the numbers to the right of the actual median. When I say actual median, I mean the median of all of your data. So just like we just did, you're going to find the median of the bottom and you're going to find the median of the top. And that's your first and third quartile. And then to find the range of the data, you would find the range of the data by subtracting the lowest number of all the data from the highest number of all the data. So that's just the high minus the low. I'm sorry. Yes. And then for number 6, to find the interquartile range, or you will find the interquartile range by subtracting the value of quartile 1 from the value of quartile 3. So you want to make sure to have all of these notes written on lined paper, and this also needs to be attached inside of your notes, right where your notes are. As you can see here, I have 2 little pieces of information. You want to copy both of these. One of them is the generic version, just showing you the upper and lower quartiles. So this is actually normally called quartile 1, and this over here is normally called quartile 3. So that way you can understand this is the actual median in the middle, and then the upper and lower extremes. So the upper and lower extremes is what you would use to find the range. The quartile 1 and quartile 3 is what you would use to find the interquartile range, and so on. So you do want to copy these 2 examples so that you have just yet another example of exactly what we're talking about. All right, so in this lesson, there's a lot going on in this lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip right on over now to textbook page 832. So I want you to pay very close attention because I'm splitting this lesson up because there's so much information in it. So on textbook page 832, I want you to go ahead and work on just number 1, and you just I don't want you to cross it out, but you don't need to do identify the outliers of the data. Not until I've taught you about outliers, which will be in the next video. So you want to do number 1, letters A, B, and C. All right, and so as you can see here, I want you to work on part 1, number 1, letters A, B, and C, and I would like you to do that work on lined paper so that you can turn it in when you get into class. So it's very important that you do practice this skill immediately, or you won't have any retention of it at all. These are not easy skills. So tomorrow night you will watch the outlier video that I have broken into a separate piece. I will see you soon.